One of the reasons Michael Jordan is the GOAT, he got beat in the head. He kept, you know what, I'm going to get bigger, stronger. That, to me, is the way I would like to see it done. That's why I admire Dirk Nowitzki.
That's what Charles is saying he views it as. I would just say, absolutely, the team in Miami was stacked. And absolutely, he, Bosh, and Wade came together to stack him. The following free agencies, I'm not sure that's true. He came to Cleveland. They hadn't made the playoffs in 4 years. They did the Love trade. Kevin Love had no history of any success in the playoffs. If you want to call that a stacked team, I guess, but like from stacked, says who?
I mean, we were a super team. And we were a team that was expected to go to the finals, expected to have the potential to win a championship.
I'm not going to do the Stepford Wife thing like all LeBron and his friends do. Like these guys on television now. Like, I don't want to upset LeBron because I wanted him to talk to me and I wanted him to do interviews.
Over the past week, it feels like the NBA media has been filled with praise for LeBron James, especially after all the talk about him joining another star-loaded team in Philadelphia. One person who hasn't been joining that celebration is Charles Barkley. These days, Barkley is often labeled as one of LeBron James' biggest critics, but if you actually listen to what Charles Barkley is saying, the focus of his criticism is a little different. He's not simply handing LeBron praise for what many are calling another stacked super team, and that's where his perspective separates from much of the recent media coverage.
LeBron's always stacking his teams.
Yeah, that's been one of my critics. Well, most people criticize him for that. He always stacks his team.
But what's wrong with wanting to build a team that can win a championship or going to?
First of all, let's see. There you go. He didn't build a team. He manufactured.
He built a team in Los Angeles. They were bad before he got there.
And his agency forced them to trade for Anthony Davis, who was ran by his group.
Dan Patrick usually comes across as someone who tries to stay in the middle, but when it comes to LeBron James, some people feel his stance has been pretty inconsistent. Looking at this discussion, the argument is that Dan Patrick ends up buying into the Klutch Sports narrative and the broader mainstream media view. Meanwhile, Charles Barkley takes a very different approach. In this clip, he's not being over the top or throwing out criticism just for the sake of it. Instead, he's pointing back to what happened in Los Angeles involving LeBron James, Klutch Sports, and Anthony Davis. The takeaway from this perspective is simple. If you don't want to hear that version of events, you'll probably dismiss Charles Barkley. But if you agree more with the mainstream narrative, then Dan Patrick's viewpoint is likely the one you'll side with.
But somehow when a player kind of takes in his own agency to do that for himself, then it becomes a character flaw. And I think that's the flaw overall in the argument. Like, this is a different time and an age where players feel as if they're bigger than the franchise. And I think LeBron James is one of the rare few that, because of his agency and because of the power that comes along with being LeBron James, that he can pick and choose and kind of skew the rails in the direction he wants. And I don't think that's a character flaw. I think it's just the genius of LeBron being a GM and being the player that actually demands that type of control as the player he is, one of the greatest to ever do it.
You have to say LeBron's the greatest ever, or like he not gonna talk to you and you're committing treason.
Let's stop right there because this is where the debate around Jay Williams usually starts. A lot of people consider Jay Williams one of ESPN's better analysts, but his biggest criticism is that he's often seen as defending players like Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Back in 2016, Jay Williams was among the media voices defending Kevin Durant after his move to Golden State. For many LeBron James fans, Durant joining the Warriors was viewed as the ultimate example of stacking the deck and chasing championships, and plenty of people still feel that way. The argument is that LeBron has made similar superstar moves throughout his career, yet many of those same fans don't react the same way. At least from this perspective, Jay Williams is consistent because he'll defend both Durant and LeBron regardless of the situation. The conversation also shifts to the idea of players acting like general managers by influencing roster decisions. Both Durant and LeBron have been accused of playing that role at different points in their careers. The criticism is that once those moves don't work out, neither player wants to accept much of the blame. In Brooklyn, Durant reportedly had significant influence over the roster and coaching decisions before eventually requesting a trade. In Los Angeles, LeBron openly supported bringing in Russell Westbrook, but critics argue he never really accepted responsibility when that move failed. That's why Charles Barkley continues to push back against players who build teams, chase rings, and take on a front office role while avoiding the criticism that comes with those decisions.
Does Charles Barkley have a point?
Well, Charles very clearly was speaking as a Hall of Famer, top 75 player. He's talking about what his and his peers' viewpoints are.
All these guys want to join each other well and play with each other. No, I want to beat you. I want to beat you. LeBron, you say you the GOAT. Why you joining Bosh and, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't doing that in the 90s.
That's what Charles is saying he views it as. I would just say absolutely the team in Miami was stacked. And absolutely he, Bosh, and Wade came together to stack it. The following free agencies, I'm not sure that's true. He came to Cleveland. They hadn't made the playoffs in 4 years. They did the Love trade. Kevin Love had no history of any success in the playoffs. If you want to call that a stacked team, I guess.
Brian Windhorst, just like Jay Williams, keeps defending LeBron James, but in Brian's case, it feels like he pushes the narrative even harder. I'll give him this much though. He openly admits that LeBron going to South Beach was about stacking the deck and chasing championships, so he deserves a little credit for acknowledging that. But then he immediately turns around and argues that Cleveland 2.0 wasn't a stacked team or a super team because the Cavaliers went from the bottom of the standings to the top. That's the part that makes no sense to me. If you actually look at the Cavaliers from 2011 through 2014, they were rebuilding, tanking, and constantly changing their roster. When LeBron came back, it wasn't like the exact same 2014 team just added him and suddenly became a contender. They also brought in Kevin Love, who was a superstar at the time and one of the league's top scorers. Just compare the roster before LeBron returned. The main names were Kyrie Irving, Deng, Thompson, Spencer Hawes, Dion Waiters, Jarrett Jack, Varejao, and Andrew Bynum. Now look at what happened after that. Half of those players were gone after 2014, and Dion Waiters was traded only 33 games into the following season. Then check out the 2014-15 rotation. Kyrie Irving stayed, LeBron James arrived, Kevin Love arrived, J.R. Smith arrived, Tristan Thompson remained, Mozgov was added, Varejao stayed, and Shumpert came in. That means 5 of the top 8 players in the rotation were different from the previous season. So when Brian Windhorst leaves all of that out, it comes across as incredibly misleading and makes it feel like there's an agenda behind the argument.
And in this situation, if he didn't go to Philly, like where did Charles or the Legends want him to go? Did they want him to go to the G League? Because if he went to Cleveland, is that team stacked? Is Miami with Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo, is that team stacked? Jokic and Jamal Murray, is that team stacked? And Edwards, Rudy Gobert? I don't know. He left Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Is that not? I don't understand the premise of the of the complaint.
The big question is this: was there any team LeBron James could have joined without getting crushed by criticism? It's a fair debate, but the answer isn't as simple as people make it seem. If there's one destination that guaranteed backlash, it was the one he actually picked. Just looking at that roster before LeBron arrived, it was already loaded with talent. They had 3 top 10 scorers, one of the league's best rookies, plenty of depth, and a much stronger bench. Now compare that to Miami. That roster has obvious flaws, so even if LeBron joined them, they'd be a good team, but nowhere near a super team or an automatic championship favorite. Then there's Cleveland. On paper, putting LeBron alongside Harden and Mitchell gives you a big 3, but that group hasn't exactly built a reputation for delivering when the pressure is highest. Because of that, I wouldn't really call Cleveland a true super team either. The same goes for Golden State. If LeBron had gone there, that roster doesn't look like a super team, and it wouldn't be viewed as a serious title contender in 2027. So when you add it all up, the one move that was always going to bring the most criticism was Philadelphia. Cleveland probably would have sparked some debate. Miami likely wouldn't have drawn much heat. Golden State would have received almost no pushback because that roster simply doesn't fit the super team label the way Philadelphia does heading into next season. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.